In this video segment, now that you've got the plotter completely assembled, we're going to get it operational. Now what we're going to cover in this video is first, we're going to go over some control panel settings that you need to change. We're going to show you how to load the media with a pen, and then go over Cutting Master 2, the installation setup, and then finally sending the job. Now what you'll need for this is you want to grab out of the accessories the pen that comes with the Fcx2000. Also you want to grab some paper or thin media that you can perform a test plot. The first thing is to turn on your plotter. The plotter will then initialize by making a couple movements, but what you want to do is wait till those movements are completely done with before you proceed to the next step. Go ahead and press pause. This little light should turn on. That's right next to the button or the key. Press next twice. Then press F1 for interface. Next press F4 for command. And then press F3 to make sure the big dot is next to the GPGL. To change the step size, you just need to press the up arrow until the value is equal to 0.0010. This setting should be equal to what's on the plotter. Press enter to accept the value or the changes you made. Press pause again and the little light should go off and put you in ready mode. Next we need to set the condition to pen. So go ahead and press the condition button. You notice the little black cursor next to the force. There's an X and Y. So I'm going to change the X down to 12. And then we hit the side arrow key to change the Y. And I'll go ahead and once again hit the down arrow key to change it to 12. There we go. I'm going to change the offset, and I want to make sure that this is the pen, and I hit the side arrow keys to do that. Next I might want to change the speed to about 30. So I'll go ahead and do that. Once I'm completed, I go ahead and press enter, and then I'm ready to go. Before we send a job, once again, we want to go ahead and load the material. And the easiest way of doing this is pressing the pause button, then next, and then pressing the F4 for view. This will actually move the head, the tool head, completely out of the way in the upper right hand corner as you see here. Once this is done, you could go ahead and place your material down. First the short piece and then the longer or larger pieces to give the shorter piece a better hold down. This just kind of clogs up the rest of the hole, so it creates a better vacuum. To hold down the media, press the foot switch to start the vacuum. For the electrostatic customer, it's a matter of laying down the material and then pressing the chart hold key. Once you put the DVD into the DVD holder, something like this will happen. When you get this window, just go ahead and go to the bottom, open up the folder, double click on Cutting Master 2, and then just double click on Auto Run. And the first menu that comes up, or the first window, is this window. And it's very simple. It's like any other installation. It's just asking you what language you would like to use for your installation. So you understand, I speak English, so I'm going to use the English language. So I'll go ahead and click OK here. Once the install shield is done, then the next step is it wants to know what do you want to install. Now the only choice you have here is Cutting Master 2, and once again you're asked if you want a certain language to run in. And in this case, once again, I choose English, and I'll go ahead and click on Next. Now you get this big window, and it's just going to give you a couple warnings about recommending that you turn off or shut down other programs before you install it. I'll go ahead and click Next, and the software license agreement, I'll say yes, but I would encourage you to read this just for your own protection. So click on yes, and then go ahead and click on Next. But before, I wanted to mention to you is that I usually put my destination folder and my program files in the C drive. Now you may have a larger drive that you put your program files on elsewhere, but just keep in mind that Cutting Master 2 is very small, so it doesn't require a lot. As you can see here, it only requires like maybe 33 megabytes, and which is relatively small. So it's up to you where you want to place it. I'm going to keep it on C, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. And which program folder you want to put it in, and we want to put it into the Cutting Master 2 folder, so I'll click on Next again. And then it says install to desktop. Now that might be a little confusing because this is an Adobe Illustrator plugin and a Corel Draw plugin. So why would you want to install it to desktop? Well, the desktop, what it's saying to you is that it has a different program. There's the plugin portion that plugs into Illustrator or CorelDRAW, and then there's a secondary program that acts as a queue, and that's the program that is going to put on your desktop. That queue will not pop up until you start running Cutting Master 2 from Illustrator, or you can run it as a standalone. So if you want it on your desktop, you can. I don't normally do that, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead just so that we can easily access it when we're starting to run it. So I'll click on Next, and it's going to go ahead and start installing. Essentially, one of the things it's doing is it's searching your drives for where Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW is installed. And it'll go ahead and ask you, do you want to install it in the plugins? We'll see that in just a minute. And of course, my Illustrator is on my D drive, but that's neither here nor there, but it found the plugins. Now, the interesting thing about this is that if you have several different programs running at a time, like CS2 and CS3, it'll find them all and install them all. So I'm going to click Next. Okay, we're almost done here. Now, when you get to this message, if you're installing for the first time, just click on Yes. But keep in mind that what this is going to do is if you've previously installed it, the same version, it's going to wipe out your drivers. Not a big deal, you just select the driver again, but I'm going to go ahead and click on Yes. So just be careful on that if you've already installed the software. And there we are, we're all finished. Now my Cutting Master is installed and I'm ready to use it. Now the first thing we want to do is to set up our driver, and that's done in the Cutting Master program. As I mentioned to you earlier, this is a program that's a standalone and it acts as a queue. Let me go ahead and open it up, and the first thing it's going to do is ask me which driver I want. And what will pop up is exactly this window. Now I move this window, there's the actual program itself, but it knows that you don't have a driver set up, so it's going to ask you to install the driver. Now, as you saw in the earlier video, I'm installing right now the Fcx2000 So I'm going to go ahead and look for that driver, which is found right here, and I'll go and click Next. And here's where you can name it whatever name. Typically I leave it default, and then of course the important part is the port. Now you may be using USB, which is typical. You also may be using the serial port because the plotter comes with both. But if you are using the serial port, then you just need to click on the COM port that it's being using, and then once you click on that, it'll ask you what baud rate and what the bit rate and all that for your serial port, and then that way you can match it with the plotter. Anyway, I'm all done. I'm going to click on or use USB, so I'll click on Finish, and there it is. I have my driver installed. And just to note, you can always change the driver later on. Okay, now that I've got my Cutting Master 2 installed, and I've also installed my driver with it, now I'm able to go to Illustrator. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, all we're trying to do is to make sure that the plotter works, or that we have good communication and so forth. So with Illustrator, all I'm going to do is simply draw a square, and you can do this, but I'm going to do this with Illustrator and using the plugin, and plus it'll kind of help you see how things operate if you are using the plugin. So in this case, I'm going to just create a new document. Nothing special. It can be 8.5 by 11 like we see here. You might want to change this to points or inches. If I like working in inches, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to keep it on tile because I'm doing something very simple. Okay, there we've got our drawing board, and I'll go ahead and just choose the square and just draw a semi-large square just so that you can see as the plotter is plotting. Okay, at this point I'll go ahead and click on File, and then I'll go to Cutting Master 2. Now one thing here is I might stop here to mention that you should see Cutting Master 2 under File, and if you don't, then it means that it hadn't loaded right, so you might have to reload it again. If you have issues, keep having issues like that, please contact GraphTech at their 800 number and ask them to help you with this. But anyways, I'm going to go to Cutting Master 2 here, and I'm going to go to Cut Plot. What it'll do is it'll bring up this dialog box, and the first thing we want to do is to go ahead and click on this Advanced tab. And what that'll do is it'll bring us into an Advanced Features or Advanced Settings. And there's one setting that we need to change, and that is down here. Now this is step size. This is basically the resolution of the plotter. Too low of a number may not give us smooth of arcs and curves that we want. Too high of a number will give us, it will slow down the plotter. So generally we set it to 1016. Now we have to set this the same resolution on the plotter or we'll get scaling issues. As you recall, we showed how to do this on the plotter earlier in the video. So go back to your computer and look at that Cutting Master dialog box and just go ahead and click on that send button down in the lower right corner. When you do that, you should see this job in the upper right hand corner of this dialog box. When you see that, you should at this point or have seen the plotter move, drawing a square like we designed in the Illustrator program. For further information on this subject, please review the following pages of the FC2250 manual. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us at our email address, which is tech.support@graphtechamerica.com, or call us at 888-318-3247.